I'm going to do a prediction for Justin Gaethje versus Max Holloway. It's not a division title fight, it's a BMF title fight, and it's 5 rounds. So I'm really excited. And the funny thing is, Justin Gaethje has never gone a full 5 rounds before. He went to the 5th round with Tony Ferguson and got the finish in that fight, but he's never made it a full 25 minutes. On the other hand, Max Holloway has gone to a 5th round, finished a fight, a full 5-round fight, multiple times, several times. I don't even know how many, probably like 10 times, honestly. He's been in so many title fights. So this is going to be really interesting. And let's just run through the numbers real quick. Justin Gaethje is 25-4 in MMA. Max Holloway is 25-7. Justin Gaethje has 20 knockout wins compared to Max Holloway, who has 11 knockout wins. And Justin Gaethje has 4 decision wins compared to 12 for Max Holloway. And the number of knockout losses for Justin Gaethje are 2, so he's been knocked out twice. Max Holloway still never been knocked out. Submissions, Justin Gaethje has been submitted twice. Max Holloway has been submitted once. I believe that was Dustin Poirier back in Max Holloway's debut. I believe that was when he got submitted. Hasn't been submitted since then. And Max Holloway has lost a decision 6 times in his MMA career. Total of UFC fights. This is where we get really interesting. Justin Gaethje has 12 UFC fights under his belt. Max Holloway has 28 UFC fights under his belt. So over double the amount of UFC fights for Max Holloway. Justin Gaethje's record in the UFC is 8-4. Max Holloway is 21-7 in the UFC. Here's another interesting statistic. In their last 5 fights, Justin Gaethje is 3-2. Max Holloway is 4-1. Justin Gaethje is 35 years old, so he is 3 years older than Max Holloway. Max Holloway is 32. They're both the same height, 5'11". Justin Gaethje has 1 inch longer reach with 70-inch reach, and Max Holloway has a 69-inch reach. They're both orthodox. And here's where we get really interesting. So significant strikes landed per minute, 7.35 for Justin Gaethje, 7.17 for Max Holloway. Striking accuracy is 60% for Justin Gaethje, 47% for Max Holloway. But one thing that's very important to note on these statistics is these are based on their UFC fights. Justin Gaethje has had 12 UFC fights, so the 60% is only based off of 12 fights. The 47% is based off of 28 fights for Max Holloway. So the numbers can be a little... That's why you can't rely on statistics, because it's very skewed. Now, here's a very interesting statistic here. Strikes absorbed per minute for Justin Gaethje is 7.5. That's extremely high. That's really high. 4.75 strikes absorbed per minute for Max Holloway. That's a huge difference. Huge difference. And if you look at the Calvin Kattar fight, that's kind of scary. That's a scary statistic for Justin Gaethje in this fight. And then striking defense, 53% for Justin Gaethje, 59% for Max Holloway. And again, that's based off of 28 fights. So very much a big advantage in the defense for Max Holloway. Takedown average is 0.13 for Gaethje and 0.27 for Max Holloway. Takedown accuracy, 25% for Gaethje, 53% for Holloway. So I feel like Holloway kind of has a little bit underrated grappling. Takedown defense, 75% for Justin Gaethje and 84% for Max Holloway. That's a very impressive number. If you've been in 28 UFC fights, and think of all the 5-rounders that Max Holloway's been in, and you are defending 84% of the takedowns, that's impressive. That is really, really impressive. So, average submission attempts per 15 minutes, 0 for Justin Gaethje, 0.3 for Max Holloway. Takedowns landed in the UFC. Justin Gaethje has 1 takedown in the UFC. Max Holloway has 7. Total knockdowns landed in the UFC. Justin Gaethje has landed 6 knockdowns in his UFC career. Max Holloway has 10 knockdowns. Number of times knocked down in the UFC. Justin Gaethje has been knocked down twice. Max Holloway has never been knocked down in all of his 28 UFC fights. Still never been knocked down, which is absolutely insane. That guy's chin is made of granite. So let's look at some of the grappling statistics. So Max Holloway is a brown belt in jiu-jitsu. Pretty high ranking in jiu-jitsu considering how good of a striker he is. Justin Gaethje did wrestle in D1 NCAA. Who knows? We might see some grappling in this fight. We really might. Shortest fight time for Justin Gaethje is 12 seconds. Shortest fight time for Max Holloway is 1 minute 39 seconds. Longest fight time for Justin Gaethje is 23 minutes and 39 seconds. And then for Max Holloway, 25 minutes. Obviously, he's gone the full 25 minutes many times. And most strikes landed in one fight. This is a very interesting statistic here. The most strikes that Justin Gaethje has landed in one fight is 143. The most strikes that Max Holloway has landed in one fight is 445. The reason why that number scares me for Justin Gaethje is because of the number we talked about earlier. That is strikes absorbed per minute, 7.5. Think about it. Think about it. That's scary. That's a scary thought. Now, there were some things that I noticed on film. One thing that Justin Gaethje does really well is he throws a lot of nasty leg kicks. And I feel like that, I could imagine that's probably a big part of his strategy with Max Holloway, because we have seen Max Holloway get hit with leg kicks. We saw it a lot in the Volkanovski fights. Could be the difference between winning the fight. The leg kicks could be, because that was what won Volkanovski. Either the first or second fight was the leg kicks. So yeah, I could see that being a huge problem for Max Holloway. One thing about Justin Gaethje, he does have a lot of problems with defense. He doesn't move his head a whole lot. So the good thing is, though, that he does have a chin. We saw him eat some real big shots from Tony Ferguson and still ended up finishing that fight and put on a masterclass. Max Holloway doesn't have the kind of power that a lot of the lightweights have, but it looks like he's bulking up, so I don't know. One thing about Justin Gaethje, in the fight with Fiziev, he did have some problems with Fiziev's hand speed. So that's one thing I'm wondering. Is Max Holloway going to have the same hand speed at lightweight that he did at featherweight? I don't know. I think he's going to be a little bit slower in his striking, so I don't know if he's going to be able to land as much volume as he normally does. I'm not sure. I'm wondering, because this is a BMF fight, is this fight going to go any differently than it would if this were a 5-round main event or a 5-round title fight? Is this being a BMF fight going to change the way that they fight? Is this going to be all stand-up? Are they going to grapple? If they grapple, who has the better grappling? Honestly, I would probably not be shocked if the fight stays standing all 25 minutes and this is an absolute war. I get people have their picks of like, oh, Justin Gaethje's going to win, Holloway's going to win, but what I really want to know is, how do you think this fight is going to go? Do you think this is going to be a stand-up fight? Do you think they're going to mix it up with grappling? It looks like Gaethje's doing a fair amount of wrestling training in his camp, so I don't know. Another interesting thing I saw was that Justin Gaethje was sparring with Corey Sandhagen, which, if you're going to be fighting somebody from a lower division, I think that's one of the best fighters you could bring into your camp is Corey Sandhagen, because he's very tall and long for bantamweight, and I think that's why it's good sometimes for fighters to spar with guys that are in lower weight classes. Because guys in lower weight classes a lot of times can be trickier because they do have faster hands, they have faster kicks, they're more explosive. So I think it's good that Justin Gaethje is sparring with somebody in a lower weight class. I think that's brilliant. So I don't know. It's going to be interesting. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if this fight goes all 5 rounds, if it's an absolute war. That's kind of what I'm expecting in this. But let's kind of dive into Holloway a little bit more. So, like I said, he's eaten some leg kicks in past fights, so I do think that's going to be a big weapon for Justin Gaethje. Max Holloway is a high-volume striker. That's kind of how he wins fights a lot of times, is just with sheer volume. Justin Gaethje's more kind of, he's not a brawler. He's not, I wouldn't even call him a power puncher, because he does have so much great technique with his kicks. So I wouldn't call Justin Gaethje a power puncher, but he can be a power puncher, and he has his moments where his power wins him fights a lot of times. So with Max Holloway being a volume guy, I feel like people kind of underestimate his power a little bit. Max Holloway does have power. I think it's just about being precise. Like, if he hits you at the right time in the right spot, like, he can shut your lights out. And that's what happened with Korean Zombie. So, and Korean Zombie's known for his chin. So, yeah, I think that a big question in this fight is, first of all, how is Justin Gaethje going to do in a 5-round fight, if it even makes it to the 5th round? How is he gonna do? Because he does have really good cardio, and he trains in Colorado. He trains at elevation. So I think he's going to be just fine if it goes all 5 rounds. I actually am excited to see that. And I hope this fight goes all 5 rounds because I want to see a full 25 minutes of Justin Gaethje. I really do want to see it. So it's going to be interesting, and Max has really never fought anybody like Justin Gaethje, and Justin Gaethje has never really fought anybody like Holloway. So I think this fight is really hard to predict for that reason. There's a lot of times where fighters move up in weight, and they have a lot of success. Big question mark here is Max Holloway's moving up way later in his career. It does kind of remind me a little bit of when BJ Penn moved up from lightweight to welterweight to fight Matt Hughes, and everybody thought Matt Hughes was going to run through him, and even Matt Hughes was kind of like, you know, what's this guy doing in my weight class? This is my division. And a lot of people doubted BJ Penn, and that's why when he won that fight, he celebrated like crazy, because that was such a huge accomplishment for him. And not that he really thought that he was going to lose that fight, but I mean, a lot of people really were doubting BJ Penn in that one because he was moving up from lightweight and fighting, you know, one of the best welterweights of all time, Matt Hughes. And you know what's funny about that is Max Holloway and BJ Penn are both Hawaiian. So that's why it kind of reminded me of that, just because, you know, he's another Hawaiian fighter. He's a legend. I think it would be really cool to see Max Holloway go for double champ status. I feel like he is capable of that 100%. I don't think you could have picked 2 better guys to be in the BMF title fight at UFC 300 than Max Holloway and Justin Gaethje. My prediction is that I think this is going to be an absolute war. I think people are really sleeping on Holloway in this fight. I think he's going to bring a lot more problems to Justin Gaethje than people think. I think it's going to be a war. I think it's going to be a great fight. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds, all 25 minutes, and I have no idea who's going to win, and I think it's going to be a fight that will probably go down in history as one of the best fights ever. That's my prediction. So yeah, if I had to pick one, sure, I'll pick Gaethje, but it's not like a one-sided thing. I mean, I really do think it's kind of 50-50. I really think that this fight is more 50-50 probably than any other fight on the card, in my opinion. I think people are really sleeping on Max Holloway just because he's moving up in weight. That doesn't mean anything. Max Holloway will fight a heavyweight if they asked him to. That guy is a machine. That's what I think. I think it's going to go all 5 rounds. I think it's going to be a war, and I cannot wait.